So speaking about organic architecture and Frank Lloyd Wright and the place that it has in our time, in an age where everything is so digital and when we are so wired to the internet and to this kind of virtual world in which we're all living, people are trying to be more and more connected in a way and grounded and find an asylum from this hyper digital world into some physical reality. So the idea of place is becoming again very important. The idea of nature is also becoming again very important. How do you think that architecture responds to this phenomenon and to this time in which we're living in?
Well, it's really hard to understand a time when you're in the middle of it,
Of course.
But I think that we're experiencing obviously some contrary trends. One is through the internet, through social media, everybody has a chance to establish an individual identity, to put together who you are on your Facebook page. And at the same time, I think that a lot of, shall we say, establishment culture is nervous about that. And so we're getting this idea of, creativity can't come from an individual, it has to come from a committee. And we can have students work on projects in groups. And there's a real nervousness about this creativity. And then you see several individuals exploding in their creative capability and wealth. People becoming multi-billionaires in just months, creating a social media, something like Tumblr, and selling it for $300 million after 18 months. And then we look at someone like Elon Musk, who he says, we're going to eventually run out of fossil fuels, so he develops Tesla, an electric car. He says, we can't be a single planet species, so he's develops SpaceX and is working on doing colonies on Mars. And then he says, we need solar energy, develop Solar City. Then he says these high-speed railroads that people are just not going to work. And he develops Hyperloop, which is a vacuum tube high-speed railroad. And people get nervous. What's this one individual doing? Shouldn't Congress be able to get their fingers in this and rake in a lot of money and get lobbyists taking them to fancy dinners to get this done or not done? What's this guy just going and doing it? You can't do that. And so then you get these people attacked by, establishment values. So, we're in a very interesting world today about whether it's going to allow individuals to express themselves or going to put everybody in boxes and let the social commune define them.
Interesting. Well, luckily those individuals are able to break through, and the culture in which we're living is also providing a lot of support and champions these kind of people. So they're kind of celebrated. We live in a time when success in business or success in technology is celebrated as success in, or they're rock stars, So, before rock stars you would become famous if you would put together a rock band and go out and play music and sing. Well, nowadays you become rock star by developing an app, by developing a business, by developing technology, and those are by far the people who are way more celebrated than any of those. So we really live in a time that cherishes and celebrates all these individuals who are able to break through and to invent something.
And it becomes easier than ever. So if you wanted to create Kodak, you need hundreds of millions of dollars of chemical factories and buildings and, et cetera. Kodak was driven into bankruptcy by Instagram, which was 13 people that had 13 laptops and a loft space. And they created a multi-billion-dollar company in a couple of months because they didn't need the servers because all that's available to rent. So we're building a radically new world, and now what this means for the individual, how it's going to redefine it. Let's see some postings about that from our students.
Yes, well, thanks for bringing Frank Lloyd Wright to this and his organic architecture. No, it's interesting to see at the time in which we live in through the lens of such a great innovator as he was, and
now we
he was
have,
able to redefine his time and
right,
eventually a new worldview.
and we've got one more aspect of organic architecture. It's an architecture of essences. So we'll look at that next.
Thank you.